Hello and welcome to day 53 of my 100-day challenge. Today I decided to create some of this vintagey kind of tape looking thing. I've got a version here that is on a clear tape, actually a packing tape, and then I got another version here that is on like a matte Scotch tape. So I am going to show you how I created those two different versions and some of the easy things that I use because I don't have a ton of supplies, but it was great to do. So let me get everything together and I'll be right back. All right, I am back. So here are some of the strips that I made earlier that I showed you on the example. Here is the ones that are on the packing tape. I've used this packing tape that is approximately 2 inches wide. I then ended up cutting the strips in half and then in half again, so I have about a 1/4 inch wide strips for those. You don't necessarily have to cut them down, but I thought this would be a better size for what I'm working with. And then these are the matte strips that I use from this matte finish Scotch tape. This is, I believe, 3/4. Yeah, this is 3/4 inch tape. And then I did end up cutting this in half for when I did my sample on there. So half of 3/4, 3/8, yes, 3/8 of an inch strips for that. So I'm gonna move these to the side, and my lovely mat here. I am going to use these sponge makeup applicators. Now I know that there are alcohol ink applicators out there. Didn't have any. I do use these to glue stuff when I'm gluing my wood signs from my Etsy store. I do use these to glue with my wood glue. So I had these, so I figured, oh, might as well. They're cheap. I buy them by the like 100 in a pack, so I figured I'd use those. The alcohol inks I used, I got a 3-pack at Joann Fabrics. Because I didn't have any alcohol inks, and the 3-pack colors that came, the colors came in a 3-pack were these. There's ginger, latte, and caramel. So I thought, well, those sure look like great colors, and this is what comes in 1 pack, so why not, right? Okay, now the final thing I used is this. These are, when I send out orders through Etsy, shipping labels, pull off of these. Now, if you don't have these, I would think some other sort of smooth surface would work. I bet plastic bag would work. You know, if you had a like a Ziploc bag, anything that's smooth that you can put tape on, but then eventually peel off. This would work. Probably wax paper. But I had these handy. If you have any sticker sheets or labels where you do address labels, once you pull all those off, this is on here, contact paper has this kind of stuff on the back. So anything that has this smooth kind of surface, I am only going to take half for now, just to make a little more room for it. So with that said, it was as simple as just taking some tape. Now I laid it roughly almost end to end. Sorry for the loud noise. And you're probably not going to see it once it gets down, but I do my best to flatten it out so it doesn't have any leaks underneath that. And then same with the Scotch tape. Now there is clear Scotch tape out there, but this is the only one that I had in the house. So again, wasn't too worried about it, but all right, I'm gonna leave, it's hard to tell, but I'm gonna leave a little space between it so I can, like these, cut them out when they're next to each other, cut between them so that when I go to peel them off, I have a little bit of backing I can grab for it. All right, and all right, so that's gonna be my last piece. Okay, I could probably put one more on there, but just for today, I'm gonna just do these. So, all right, so the way that I did, oh, and I also do have a little spritzy water bottle. I used it a little bit. It really was not necessary to do, but I'm gonna do that. So I did start The order I went in is I did caramel first, then I did ginger, and then I did latte. I don't know rhyme or reason, but that's what I did. The fourth coat, I did put some more caramel back. So I start with the caramel, and I just did a couple dots on the tapes. And all I did was take my makeup sponge and kind of distribute it completely as much as I could before it dried on the tape, so that I had a fairly good coating everywhere for it, just so that it had a good base to start with. Now, as you can see, even now with the sponge doing this, it is adding some color to it, or some, you know, variations in color. I probably could stop now if I felt like it, but who's gonna stop now? Close that up before I lose it. Okay, now there we go. Okay, so the next one I did was the ginger, and I pretty much did the same thing. Just did a couple dots. On there, and did the same thing. This time though, instead of spreading it flat, I did this pouncing thing, trying to move my sponge a little bit back and forth so it didn't leave the same, you know, same lines each way. Random. Da, da, da. As you're getting, you can kind of see where the tape ends better now that it's starting to get colored also. So, all right, so after I did that, I did give a little spritz for it, for when I put the latte down, so that it would pool a little bit, possibly. I don't know why. Also, latte seems to be the darkest, but I don't know, it seems to dry, or seems to have more of a looser look to it. So, all right, so again, just gonna start pumping it out. Now, I am not sure if it's a combination of the latte, my water, but as you can see, it gives kind of a greenish, patinaed, copper patina kind of look to it, which I thought was kind of cool. And again, accidentally ran across all this. Probably not necessary to do, but it seemed to work, so I figured I'm going to memorize how I did it the first time, and this is how I did it the first time, and this is how I've done it. This is the third batch I'm doing, and they seem to be doing the same each time. All right, so after I did all three, I went back to the caramel. I didn't spritz it again because there is a little bit of water on there, and I did the same thing, adding a couple drops. And you can see, because it kind of was, I don't know if it's because it's wet or because it already had ink on it versus the first time caramel went, which was on just plain tape. But it likes to spread a little bit more. And I let this layer dry just ever so slightly compared to the other ones, so that I could have some sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, more rough edges, more, it ends up kind of being a little bit chunky. I know it seems kind of weird, but it does leave a little bit of a thicker coat to it, as you can see on some of these. Now I did try, something it was a little bit bad like this. You can add a little bit of water to it if you want. to kind of spread it a little bit. Or go back in and do, I was probably too late on that one. Go back in and do another color of something, but I don't think it's necessary for it. Looks like I have an air bubble underneath there. Didn't smooth that one down as good. But once you cut these into strips, even if you've got some of that ridges, they usually pretty much go away because you have, here's like one of the circles there. So it really doesn't look like a big old circle on there. It looks just kind of like a stain. You can see all my circles on there from one of them. So I'm not upset that that happened like that for that. But what I did with a lot of the other ones is ended up cutting it off so that I have a new blank sponge for the next time after I did one batch. So that's what I will do with that, because like I said, I do use them. It's hard right now because I do use them to glue. Or this would be nice and clean for the next time I do it. I probably could use it again, but I decided to cut it off each time because like I said, the sponges aren't that expensive to go. So, all right, so I'm gonna give this a minute to dry. And I think it's pretty well dry. It really does dry kind of fast. So then all I did was, probably could keep it on these sheets here, but to make them a little bit easier to handle, like I said, to do, if I wanted to do a little bit there, I can cut that off. I did cut these into smaller pieces. So cut these into smaller pieces. Get rid of the excess that's on there. And you can see how I kept it a little bit apart there. I'm gonna cut right in between, just leaving a little bit for each tape. And this one is hard to see, a little bit close, but it's fine. All right, and then I did get rid of the ends. Not completely, but just enough to kind of clean it up a little bit. Oops. All right, so there's the edges cut off for those. So I could keep this whole if I wanted a bigger tape, but what I did was, and I probably could use a sliding cutter or guillotine to cut it, but I'm just gonna eyeball it. Is it perfect? No, but in the end, by the time I cut little pieces down, I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna cut it in half, eyeball it, cut it in half again. So as you can see, even though there was weird big circles on there, you can't even tell that they're just smudges. So very cool. All right, I'm gonna cut this one in half. Okay, now these I didn't cut the ends off, so I'm gonna cut the ends off of these, cut the ends off of this one, and cut the ends off of this one. All right, so yeah, you can see it's kind of leaves that little green effect. It's very cool. Definitely patinaed. And then again, I'm just gonna cut this in half for that. So I can do that with these. I might keep a couple of these whole, just so I have little larger ones. I don't have those yet. I have a bunch of smaller ones already cut. So yeah, 3 batches. You saw how long the one batch took me. Not very long. So pretty much I think I have antique tape to last me a while, and these bottles are not even been like remotely looked into like using it. So I'm pretty sure I will be putting tape on everything. This is an upcoming project I'm working on. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be putting this tape on everything because it is way cool. Shiny, not shiny. So All right, I'm gonna plop this in the middle of the video, so if it seems odd, is because after I stopped the video, I thought, hey, I never showed how it looked after it got pulled off. So here's one of the recent cards I made. So I'm gonna take the glossier strip. I'm just gonna cut a little piece of size that I think would be a good size tape. Gonna peel it off, and you can see how much better it looks as a piece of tape. So very cool with that. And then, like I said, with the more satin look, I have to cut that down. Gonna peel that off. And we'll go ahead and put a piece on there. Wrap that around to there. So, yeah, I wanted to show you that, how it ended up looking as it got peeled off. So sorry if it seems like a weird interruption in the middle, the end of the video, but I want to show how it looked when pulled off. So there we go. All right, well, I hope this was helpful. I hope for people who have decided, didn't think they could do it, realize they can. It's pretty easy with very minimal amount of stuff. Like I said, I pretty much just had to go out and get those, everything else I had on hand. So, all right, that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully this has again been helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful and a creative day. Thanks for stopping by.